Welcome back to Beyond the Code. We got a jam-packed week this week. We got 3 episodes that I'm recording simultaneously. Not sure when I'm going to post them all, but I'm going to get this one with Ofir Eliasi out first. Ofir is the founder of Borsa, previously Balloon Dogs, and he's like a serial entrepreneur, been developing blockchain-related products since 2017. He's a very, very smart guy, very technical guy, and you're going to hear all about Borsa and what he's building and his past experiences in this episode. Welcome to Beyond the Code, the podcast where industry experts and brilliant legal minds discuss the impact of new emerging technologies. I'm your host, Yitzy Hammer, a lawyer and tech enthusiast. Join us as we explore the legal, regulatory, and ethical issues surrounding AI, blockchain, and more. Get ready to go beyond the code and stay ahead of the game. And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3, go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Code. Today I'm joined by Ofir Eliasi, who is a serial entrepreneur, both in and out of the blockchain space. Today you're going to hear all about his latest venture, Borsa Network, recently rebranded and celebrating its 1-year anniversary, and many, many other ventures that he has had on the way to this big milestone. Ofir, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your background, leading up to Borsa.
My journey started long ago. Me personally having into code and software for 20 years. Started...
Wow, you look much younger than that.
Thank you. Yes, I start early. It's not that I'm young. It's like starting early. And of course, when I'm saying like I'm doing code, I'm talking about professionally. Well, my journey started as here as a classic Israeli at the army, of course, 8200 unit, and later on into a couple of cool military projects that are like definitely not much to share, but that's when you get the first boost of how to deal with like complex architecture and infrastructure. Then at some point, couple of more outside of this ecosystem, a couple of more big tech companies like Microsoft developing a Windows Mobile 7 operation system, not taking any responsibility
By the way,
results.
No, I think 7 was one of the good ones. I think 7 was the... Oh, that was the best.
The last one.
There was one after XP that was really good. I thought it was
mobile. I'm talking about mobile.
Okay, mobile. Okay.
Mobile.
Complete
Mobile
and utter failure.
7 was the last one. I would say that the roadmap mentioned even having the ability of running Windows Mobile on iPhone devices, on Apple devices. So that was super ambitious. We know how it ended up eventually, but there was like very ambitious plan over there. So a couple of those, and then some point deep into startups that I really like, and back then fell in love. The first one was Varonis, cybersecurity company here in Israel that eventually IPO'd on Nasdaq. So to see the journey from like a couple of tens of people into a Nasdaq traded company with thousands of people, that was definitely a very good experience. After that, Redkicks, that launched by my former Microsoft team, and eventually acquired by Facebook, now Meta. But that also was very exciting to see as the first employee, the first manager, and actually the one that was in charge for the R&D. And then accidentally, I would say, I like to say that there was no rabbit hole involved on my journey. Getting into the blockchain space, it was 2017, where the ICO boom was like happening. It was here in Israel. There's a lot of projects going on. Some of them like very impressive. Of course, Banco was one of them, and Enigma that later on changed name and so on. But another one was now it's SSV Network, but back then the name was Blocks, and before that Coindash, an ICO company that just launched. We're still sitting inside it all. Offices, and it was like a very successful ICO back then. Got the opportunity to join as a CDO and build the tech team and the infra for the company. So as a start, when was like most of the people doing some stuff like back at home and like side gigs and so on. To run a R&D team of tens of people was definitely unusual back then. Still, it's not that often, but we have a lot more right now. But back then, even more. And of course, the experience there was amazing. No services, no facilities to build anything that relates to blockchain. If you wanna get data, you need to run a node, no matter what, even if it's a single
And you
transaction.
guys ran your own nodes?
We ran almost anything. And talking about,
Really?
like, of course, we have a full ecosystem, like Ethereum.
And that must have been like all new for you. Like it's new coding languages, new. I mean, even just the lingo and like how to. I mean, you were coming in with virtually no background in blockchain, right?
Definitely, definitely. No one has too much background,
No, because
2017, I remind
sometimes you
you.
have people. Yeah, 2017. I came in at 2016, so I feel like 27. And there are plenty of people who've been on the pod who've come in earlier, like 2010, 2012.
Yeah,
So
it
2017
depends.
is like still, second cycle. It's not it's still, I mean, it's early, but I'm just asking like in terms of like you weren't like a crypto degen turned crypto developer. You were a developer who, was faced with a new technology and you had to kind of figure out from scratch. And I
Absolutely.
imagine the passion developed afterwards.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was not like too much aware of that back then. I would say also like, 2017, like smart contract start become like popular and more into get into the space. So I would say like before that, it's very hard to have like some kind of even a project that relates to that. So unless you're building an L1 or a wallet, it's very hard to find people with an experience like this technical experience before that relates to anything like this. So yes, but for me it was definitely, even on the knowledge side, it was new. And I'm a technical person, so to catch up, it was like the challenge was to catch up and to learn new things that coming, because there are some areas when like this market is running wild and the disinformation out there is like huge. And so even to catch up or to just like stay up to date with what's going on sometimes is a huge challenge. And of course, being a CDO and running a team, that was also something that you need to deal with. But yeah, we need to have to build anything we need on our own. If I need like Bitcoin derivation, then I need to figure out how to do that.
Wow.
And actually do it with code. So we deal with a lot of research. If you want to run a node, if you need a node, you run it. So we had like almost anything that was out there: Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Cardano, Zilliqa, Litecoin, Litecash, Bitcoin Gold, Neo, EOS, all of them. Yeah, definitely super, super challenging. And yeah, a couple of years over there building the team. We see now we pivoted 3 times actually from the initial idea into now SSV network that's like doing very great, and I'm super proud of that. And on some point decided like to go and do my own thing and launch a new startup. Back then we saw the NFT coming, and I was into the space. We caught it a bit before the boom. So we managed to fundraise very quickly and start building the
You mean
product.
before the crash?
No, I'm talking even before like the hype. We were there on the NFT side even before the hype. So
Really? What, you were pre-apes?
pre-apes,
Wow.
pre-apes.
Okay. Wow. So
In
that
a way that
you're a visionary.
in a way that I saw it depends, because I saw the apes. They had like a super cool landing page. I remember that they have a great landing page
It was
before
awesome.
the mint. All kind of apes sitting in a club. I don't know if you remember that, but it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, of
in a
course.
kind of a club, and we say, "Wow, that's so cool!" I said to my partner, "We should mint that." We were like seriously minting whatever is coming. This one we just like slept out of our head and didn't mint it. Yeah, so where the story ends, you probably can figure out on your own. But yeah, eventually the market crashed.
Wait, so what
It
did you
shut down.
develop for NFTs?
Well, to talk about the project like 2, 3 years after will be embarrassing. Always like the idea back then, and
Come
now it's always like.
on.
But we were kind of one of the challenges that we dealt with back then was
Is
like
this
how
that
to
app? Is that what it was called?
that yeah,
That
to
app.
deal with the pricing of NFTs and aggregation of all kind of related projects and marketplaces and so on. So yeah, we started. didn't end up very well because of the market like completely dead. And I was out for a couple of very cool projects dealing with all kind of challenges that relates to infra, to node launch, how to spin up nodes like in your own ecosystem, MEV research, very cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did a lot of research. We helping others, founders and so on, to build their infra, stabilize their teams and so on. And actually, the last one that I did was with Biconomy, actually led us to what we have right now, because I spent a couple of months with the Biconomy team, helping them with like some kind of the challenges of the company and the vision of the company and the related technology, and being exposed deeply to account abstraction. And it was, by the way, it was the right time for account abstraction. Everybody talking about account abstraction. So again, I was there, like I was in the right time. Saying we saw the emerge of account abstraction. I was becoming super bullish on that. Got deep into the infra, the bits of bytes of how to use it and how to deal with all kind of challenges that relates to that. Because once it was out, everybody were talking about like, okay, what can be done with that? Okay, let's do authentication. Nice, that's cool. And let's have like batch of transactions. That's great. But those are like we call it V1, very basic functionalities or capabilities of account abstraction. They're way more than that. So, and I think like this is at some point what led us to Borsa, to the network that we are building right now, because we saw that it's there is some issue with the delegation that can be solved with account abstraction.
Okay. Just because a lot of our listeners are non-technical peoples, could you explain account abstraction for the layman?
Yes, definitely. So I would say like this. When you come to use any blockchain, and let's use, of course, Ethereum and EVM compatible chains as an example, you have actually default for 5 elements. The most important are like authentication and authorization, execution, and so on. So there are like some kind of elements that are default. I mean by that, how you authenticate on the blockchain with a signature, a specific type of signature, ECDSA, and that's it. You're not able to change that. How you execute, you provide a call data, and that's what being executed on chain. So there's no logic. I'll take those 2 examples because those are the most fundamental and most easy to get. And now, how you make anything that can authenticate with something that is outside of ECDSA signature. Other signatures, for example, like DLS, as an example, but more relevant stuff like I want to authenticate with my Google account, with passkey, anything that is popular right now. How you do that? Account abstraction allow you to take those default elements and open it up into a code change. So you can define a logic with Solidity in order to change those elements. So I mentioned authentication, of course, an authorization that comes with it, execution that you can change. You can get something and like manipulate it according to what you decide, and so on and so on. Part of it is gas abstraction by having a logic of who is paying the gas. The default, by the way, is the account that's submitting the transaction, right? That's very basic. Now you can deal with that in a different way that involves logic. It's not necessarily someone else paying. It's just the ability to change the basic logic, the default, with code and do whatever you want with that.
By the way, you mentioned NFTs almost like from a place of shame, because a lot of people look at the NFT boom and say like, it's just like a whole bunch of scams. It came and it went. But I actually think that it was a great learning opportunity to kind of figure out a lot of the ways we think about blockchain generally today. And one of the things that you mentioned, in terms of like who has to pay the gas fees, like these were the kind of things when they were having like, I think at some point like what was it called? Like Rarible? What was the website where you could check out like all the different NFT launches that were happening every day? I think there was at some point it was like 4,000 projects that were minting a day. But when you ultimately had all these projects that were launching, you had all these creative ideas. Like you had projects that said, okay, we're gonna cover the gas fees for you, just to kind of make it more of an attractive mint and stuff like that. So it breeded a lot of innovation in that sense, and probably was one of the proponents that led to the conversation around account abstraction.
Exactly. I can tell, like, even more than that, that this is kind of like when you want to get back then was a lot of cases where companies, brands, or a project that outside of the Web3 or aiming for non-Web3 ecosystem want to get people to mint NFTs, and they weren't able to do that because they need gas and they weren't able for them. So if they had a counter section back then, it's definitely solve it, and that's part of the need that came after it. So yeah.
Yeah. It's I think one of my biggest pet peeves with blockchain is that like whenever I open up a new wallet for whatever new purpose and I want to perform a transaction, I realize like I need to have some ETH in there first to cover the gas fees. So like and I never it never gets old. Like I'll never remember beforehand, and I'm always surprised like, oh God, I don't have any gas. So
Yeah, everybody
here's
gets
to
that. Sometimes, you just need like a couple of cents gas worth in a way that to bridge from other places, probably going to cost you like 10 times, sometimes like 100 times more than that. So yeah, I know this story. This is, by the way, this is what Borsa solves. We're going to get into that, but definitely part of the things that we are solving.
so that takes me to my next question. So what is Borsa? You're now celebrating, I believe, your first year anniversary for Borsa, and you guys recently rebranded. So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in the past year and what the future holds for Borsa.
Great. So yeah, Borsa is it started with, as I said, like it started, and I connected to the last thing I mentioned on my journey, spending some time with the economy. It started over the inside the economy, like having taking a look at intents and what the industry actually provides right now. And we saw a couple of things that were super interesting back then. And I'm talking about like a year and a half ago. For example, my approach towards solvers that is super popular right now is a bit different. For example, like the ability for them to stay competitive and become profitable. Those elements, like we have right now, a lot of conceptions that are laying there as an industry that can easily collapse unless some major change will happen. Solvers aspects, and of course, intent solvement and how to deal with the swaps and so on. And the efficiency of this concept of competition between solvers. And so that is not that impressive, to be honest. And people think like, in most cases, like the solver algorithm will be the thing that will win the game. And then so now, maybe it's more obvious right now, but a year and a half ago, to say that liquidity will win the game, and it doesn't matter how efficient is your algorithm, it was something that like was not that obvious. We just saw it. It was the first time you have enough data on chain to analyze performance of solvers and intense solution. And we got to a couple of conclusions, but I think the major one was that there is no solution, definitely not a good solution, for dealing with DeFi with intent. So the idea of intent saying like, yeah, you want to do any action, just let us know what you want to do, like very simple way, and we're going to figure out the best way to execute that. That's nice, but if it's only end up with giving token A and getting back token B on the same chain or multiple chains, that actually covers very minimal part of the blockchain and DeFi ecosystem. So we realized that something need to be built differently from the get-go, and this is what we start doing. Eventually, fast forward, what we have right now is a wallet infra that allows developers to communicate with the blockchain with a very simple from and to states, just like specify a state as from allocation of any asset, and a to state again on the same format. And we as a network gonna figure out the best execution, the most optimal, and so on, in order to get you exactly what you need or what you ask for. And that's mostly it. And that's involved with, yeah.
Are these mainly tools that you're building for developers? Or are these end user focusing as well?
So I would say like the main focus is developers. It's a wallet infra. It's a transaction based, of course, and it's a wallet infra. So developer that want to build any product on the blockchain will find it much easier to use our infra in order to do that. For example, let's say you want to build some kind of an AI wallet that is very popular right now, and you have and you're specialized within AI. That makes sense.
Like an AI agent type thing, where you have like an AI that will dictate to a certain wallet to perform transactions.
Exactly. A chatbot on Telegram. So you want the user to say, I have 5 ETH, and I want to get X amount of DAI instead of that. So that's kind of like the communication that you want to get. Right now, they need to transform it into execution. And that's very hard for a couple of reasons, mainly because they're not specialized with that. And second, they need to validate
when you say
the
they,
result.
who's not specialized, you mean
The team.
like you're saying developers just aren't fluent in this type of language performance.
Yes, exactly. You need to build execution on chain to format transactions.
Okay.
It's a challenge. You need to deal with all kind of aspects: fees, gas, slippage, and so on, so on, so on. Not mentioning if you need to deal with multiple chains and, of course, DeFi protocols. So you need to learn all of that and to actually implement that into your system in order to support it. So what we're saying, actually, you don't care about what exactly will be the path. Just let us know, a very simple, intuitive way, what you have and where you want to get, and we're going to take care of the rest. So it's definitely help them scale, simplify a lot of elements that relates to building the product, and of course all kind of features that's super important and fundamental in order to deal with that. For example, what you mentioned about gas payment. So we are able to provide any type of gas payment or any token that involved with that, or even paying gas on different chains. So you want to execute something on Ethereum and pay gas on Polygon, for example. So those elements are part of the core system because that's what allows developers to easily onboard into the blockchain.
Gotcha. Okay. So if I'm an end user and I want to interact with your platform, right? I always like to try things out just to kind of get a feel for myself. So I went into Borsa and there is an option there to pick whether I'm a developer or a user. I clicked user and then it tells me to connect my wallet to create a wallet.
Yes, this is actually, so listen, the main focus is developers,
right?
But
we
so also have a wallet.
A beta product?
It's a beta product. We're going to launch it. The idea is like we to provide a wallet that is comprehensive. This is definitely based on our infra and using our SDK in order to do that. But it's a show proof of the enormous functionality that you can get on such infra.
Okay.
And second, the ability to build fast, because this product is built in less than a month. Okay. Wow. So once you have all the infra, you don't need to deal with execution, no gas fees algorithm, no logic involved. So to put like a very impressive UI, gonna be like super easy. Well, we're not very good at UI, we must say, and we delegate that to others. But the same goes to any other elements that involve with that.
Okay. So what have you done in a year? First of all, you guys started off as Balloon Dogs. So anybody who's heard of Balloon Dogs, this is the Borsa that we're talking about. And you raised about a bunch of money from some leading VCs in the space and some leading companies, including Starkware. And who else? Give me a flex a little. Byconomy, right? That was like, because it was spun out as like an EIR kind of thing. And who else?
Eden Block, also in the list. And
fantastic.
A couple of more angels.
And you've built this. It's a beta product, or you already have.
It's we now so what we managed to do on this year is like first laser zoom the use cases that we want to tackle. Part of the research, part of providing the infra for this network is the ability to solve all kinds of delegation, because we want to deal with DeFi, we want to take DeFi interactions and so on. So that's first to nail that, to finish the research and to provide a solution that is like feasible, and then to go into execution, build the product, build the agents and the decentralized solver. And now we're on stage when we start onboarding customers. We already have a pipeline of dApps, DEXs, even L1s, L2s that involved with the building, because this is supposed to be a solution when it gets into an ecosystem
Mm-hmm.
it makes it better. It helps onboard TVL. It helps protocols to get some exposure, and of course to make the user life way easier. So part of the strategy is to reach out to those chains, EVM compatible as a start, and work with them on their use cases, on the protocols, the dApps that are building on their ecosystem. And we see that this is going to be like a very good idea, or like this approach already proved itself.
Very cool. Okay, so, and you guys are based out of Israel, like me, correct?
I'm based in
You're
Israel.
based out of Israel.
The team is spread,
Okay.
mostly, let's say, on the Israeli time zone, I would say, like mostly center of Europe, and even Africa. So the team is the team. The idea is on the core team to have like the best people. Definitely, what specialized Borsa is first the team and the capabilities. We are all engineers, and all of them experience many years into the blockchain space. So this is definitely unique. You know, as I mentioned, you already detailed my journey and my experience, and I can say that I'm not the senior guy at the team. So there are some even more senior than I, and I like it. So team is definitely a
Solid.
list of people,
Very
solid list
cool.
of people with a great reputation. So definitely that's
Okay, the
something
big
that I'm proud of.
question for Web3 companies. Okay, you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give a
I
drum
am
roll. Token or no token?
a token. Yes,
Okay.
yes. We must.
Why?
It's
Why
a
and how?
First, we are not rushing into that. When I'm saying token, it's not like it's like let's go fast, let's launch a token and figure out later what will happen. I'm traumatized by that. I saw
Okay.
too many companies like having a successful product and a token that is not performing accordingly. So
Or is it just
I,
not as not necessary? It's
you
perceived
know,
as a cash grab.
sometimes you have your vision and there is a place for token, but then the vision changed. The market moves so fast, so you find yourself like with something that is like you change. Market is great, you have a product, you have customers, but it's not attached to a token, or the token become useless or like irrelevant, and you're in big trouble. I would say so. We're gonna be like on that case very careful and we'll do it right. But at the moment, considering the challenges and that we are a network and the decentralization means a lot on this solution, part of it is token.
For mainly focusing on the governance side of things, you're saying.
On the like it's gonna be a proof of stake network, so you must have some kind of slashing mechanism, staking involved with that, and of course like a lot of elements that relates to decentralization that we must put in this network, and the token should serve that.
Okay. One advantage, like if you would have kept Balloon Dogs, you could have had like a token ticker like B Dogs. That would have been pretty baller.
Right. Yeah, I'm emotionally attached to the
Where
previous
did
name,
that
I
come
would say.
from? That name? I gotta say, when I first saw your logo, I just assumed you were like some kind of like gaming or NFT company.
Exactly. That's because you're like probably a while in the space. Like in newbies, they mostly think it's a meme coin. You know, it's like that's the trend. So and that's my problem because to it's an icebreaker and people really like it. So the initial impression is very good. People like it. People ask about it, and it's rememberable, and that's good. Then you need to talk about like something that is like deep tech involved with a lot of
To kind of like
elements.
balance the immatureness with something that sounds a bit more mature.
So you start way behind and you need to go to catch up and then to start explaining. So yeah, so the settlement, I would say, like my internal settlement was to change the name into something that is more relevant. Borsa has a meaning, and
I read your article announcing the name change, and I had no idea that that's what Borsa meant, but I thought like it was a very fitting name. I'll read it for anybody who's not looking at the website right now. The name Borsa is rooted in Latin, where it originally referred to a leather pouch for storing money. And over the
Mhm.
centuries, it has come to represent Europe's stock exchanges and trusted institutions of commerce. So I think that's very fitting. Borsa platform represents the next evolution of wallet infrastructure, and it's a very appropriate name. But I like also that you kept the dog because
I
I
can't
love the
like I
dog.
can drop it. I can
Okay, so it makes for good swag.
exactly. Yeah, that was my next sentence. Yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. The rest of the team is not in Israel, but at least you are, and you've been here for a while. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, like on the Israeli Web3 ecosystem, just generally.
Yeah, so I don't know, like what I sense from the outside that some people like familiar with this ecosystem and some are completely not. And I was a bit surprised by that because there's a lot going here in Israel and it's a bit unique. You know, we're spoiled because most of the companies like in the Web3 and like outside probably in a range of, I don't know, like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, most of them. So it's a very close, intimate hub with
Mm-hmm.
when everybody knows each other, and it's great. It's super fun. I like it a lot, and but I think it's also there's a lot going over here. Some very impressive companies. People know like a couple that are super famous, like of course Fireblocks and what else? And of course I mentioned
Celsius.
and tells you, oh yeah, okay, yeah, definitely. So there are many, and like there's many companies running here, a lot of founders. Of course, there is the Israeli tag of security and cybersecurity, and that also relates to Web3 because a lot of companies here like dealing with cybersecurity, Chaos Labs and Hexagate and what else, Hypernative and who I missed, many others, like
There's so
many.
many. Yeah, we even have our own.
Sorry, who I missed? Probably they're gonna kill me. But yeah,
We even have a crypto native VC, which is more than you could say for most countries in the world.
of course. And yeah, so there's a lot of good founders over here on the Web3. There are some great, of course, and Banco that we almost forgot. A lot of great founders, a lot of resources, people that building something super cool. And you feel that when you're here. We need to get better on events. I guess like no activity, no.
Whoa. Hold on there. We have an event coming up in 2 weeks. It's supposed to
We
be a
do.
good one. Crypto Jungle, Ben Samucha's Crypto Jungle is putting on a large local crypto event on the 24th of December. So if you're here in Israel or if you're planning a visit, you should definitely stop by. My law firm, DLT Law, is going to be sponsoring and taking a booth, and I'm sure that Ofir will be there as well. Right, Ofir? If you're not,
I
I'm going to hook you up with a ticket. If you're listening and you weren't planning on coming, you should definitely plan on coming now, and at least come over and have a coffee with me.
Agree. Yeah, it's one of like not many. Of course, probably because of the situation here, like on the last year, um, but we I guess relates to all like comparing. There's like uncorrelation between like the ecosystem here and like the activity kind of events and so on. We need to get better on that and to get like people together. That's for sure. But I think like who is considering and the uniqueness of the Israeli ecosystem generally from the software and tech is also the same on the Web3. So everything that we know about like Israeli entrepreneurs and the developers and so on is also relevant on the Web3. So it's good.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people actually know this, but I was telling you before I just finished reading Laura Shin's book about like how Ethereum was started, and I didn't know, but Vitalik actually attributes coming up with the idea for Ethereum to his time spent in Tel Aviv working on Color Coins, which
Color
is a Yoni
coins.
Asya project. And on the topic of Vitalik, you actually just sent me a couple days ago his most recent blog post titled "What I Would Love to See in a Wallet," which he also opens up just with like giving kudos to a bunch of Israeli Ethereum developers. So ecosystem is definitely strong. But it also speaks a lot to what you guys are building in Borsa. You want to just expound a little bit more on Vitalik's article because it's a bit technical for me.
Yeah. I would say before that, mentioning the Israel ecosystem, if we were smart enough or someone had made the right decision, probably Ethereum was launching from Israel, on the Israeli ecosystem. And that's huge. We didn't, or someone missed it. So that's kind of like a fun fact. Relates to that, yes. So first, also relates to that, like the account abstraction team is also based in Israel, the Ethereum Foundation. And the ERC 407 structure is actually built over here. So it's so super cool. I think there's a lot of elements that's gonna solved by that, and it's like very meaningful. About the article, Vitalik. So what he did like 2-3 days ago on this the recent weekend is to list what future wallets should look like, what elements and what problem they should solve, and even more specifically what ERC should be involved, how you deal with any aspects like security, privacy, all kind of user experience, and so on and so on. And of course, I really like it because it fits exactly on when we want to be, and it's actually put a very big spotlight on Borsa because we fulfill all the check marks that mentioned on that article that relates to gas payments and simplicity. And he also mentioned, I think for the first time, like officially, that security issues should be solved with the right experience. So you get avoid of hacks and user mistakes, those two elements that he mentioned, by providing the user a proper experience. Obviously,
what would that look like?
So the idea is like two elements. As a user, you have the problem when you go into a DApp or any protocol and sign transactions that something can happen. It could be a malicious actor, a phishing, or just a bad execution or bad implementation of the DApp. So users need to be protected from that. How you do that? That's first. Second, users mostly do mistakes and lose their money because there's like like configuring something bad or like specifying something they don't know exactly how to execute because all kind of protocol complexity, dApps that are too advanced, and so on and so on. So how you solve those two? Many ways to deal with that. Mm-hmm. But there's one fundamental that should be in a way that you provide the user experience that is simple. For example, something you mentioned on the article is a payment link. If I want to transfer you money, then instead of you providing your address and also amount and all kind of and chain and all parameters for me to manually put, a link or a QR code in a way that if I scan it into my wallet, I get exactly what you're asking for, and I'm able to sign it with all kind of...
Isn't that what ENS was supposed to be?
Part of it. You also mentioned ENS on the article. ENS is part of the solution, or like one of the elements that can enable that.
Does anybody actually use ENS other than just like as their flex on Twitter or on X rather?
I guess like I use it. I tell you, like for me personally, when I need to pay or transfer money, I use the ENS just to validate the address. It's very handy, but I don't know, maybe.
Like I used
not
to,
sure
like the first time I sent an ENS to somebody, they were like, "What the hell is this, man? Like send me a proper wallet address. I don't trust to be able to send you something at like a whatever." I had a web3lawyer.eth. That was like my...
Really? You have that?
I still have it, but I just don't use it anymore.
That's nice.
Yeah.
You should do like pay your lawyer or something. Like
yeah. Oh, we have dltlaw.eth. We never use it for anything. Okay, maybe this will be the renaissance that we were all hoping for. Very cool. So what is, give me some hopium. Like, what are your thoughts on the future of blockchain, of Borsa, of Ethereum? I imagine that you're more of like an ETH maxi, so I don't know how excited you get by Bitcoin's 100K, but it's still got to be exciting just being in the space, no?
Of course, it's exciting because the people in the ecosystem now have, everybody have more money, like investors and
can
providers.
Afford to pay their lawyers.
Yeah, exactly. You feel that, like you said, even better than I. So, and mostly Ethereum, like I guess recently not that correlated, but it's supposed to follow Bitcoin. So that's also a good thing to have. But yeah, so definitely Bitcoin all-time highs is a positive signal. And more than that, I think like what I was missing for the last couple of months is some kind of like clarity or like solid ground. People like, I think worse than a bear market is to not sure, to not like be confident what is the situation. Is it a bear or a bull? So now that we know for sure that this is a bull or some kind of like a good time.
Oh, it's official now?
Like, I don't know. It's like, but everybody happy, like super optimistic. That's the situation. I don't know if we can, what is the exact definition of bull, but it seems like some kind of a run. It's definitely less confusing than it was a couple of months ago.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take that. That doesn't really consist as to be hopium, but like that's fine. We'll give it to you. If people want to learn more about Borsa, where it's the best place for them to find you?
Definitely Twitter, X, Borsa Network, or Ofir Eliasi. We are there. We started already publishing some good stuff. We have some others coming very soon. Also reference to Vitalik article, and in a way that people like unrelated even to our products, like generally explanation and so on. So we're gonna have some great stuff to people to get, and I guess that's it.
Okay, fantastic. For those of our international listeners who want the opportunity maybe to meet you, have a coffee, what are your next global conferences that you're planning on going to?
I guess the next one, unless like it's always surprises, there's like so many events, but I guess the next one will be it's Denver. That I'm already for the last 2 years I was a mentor on the hackathon. I really like that. This is this is the fun part of it. So probably this year I'm going to be also a mentor on the hackathon, or will take some active role over there. So that will be the next one, and the rest of all the main events.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ofir. This is great. Be well, and wishing much success to Borsa on its next year and future years.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Code. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, share with your friends, and to tune in again next week for more fun and insightful conversation.